He works for National Geographic to find fossils. I mean, obviously the people who work for him
I
are
couldn't be more
skinnier and
wrong.
younger. I can see why you're mistaken, because he dressed as Indiana Jones for the interview. He dressed as Indiana Jones, dude. I mean, it's his own fault. He's coming across as a douche. You know,
I just thought that he was jerking off all day. That's just my first thought.
No, dude, his job is just to do that. I watched a whole 1 hour video about him describing how they find the bones, what they are. He's a science nerd, like he's a scientist, dude. I mean, obviously he's not poor because he's the boss of those people, and they probably get paid like minimum wage to go in his tunnels and dig shit up. But like the guy is not a rich guy. He's like a scientist. Like that's his job. He looks all this shit up. He's a researcher. He has the rubber gloves on. He's telling you all about the bones. He's so excited about it. He's like a real nerd, like science dude. He's not like the boner guy, or like, you know, these billionaires who are like, I'm going to be an explorer now. I'm going to pay these 10 guys to go dig for me. Like, this guy's job is that. We only know about him because he finally found something worth mentioning, and now he's going to jack off all over Netflix and get excited about it, which I guess is his prerogative after 30 years of looking for something and gaining too much weight to get, which he did mention in the interview. He can't crawl through the tunnels. He had to lose weight to crawl through the tunnels, which I thought that was so funny. But no, he's not a rich guy. He's a, you know, he's a resident fucking explorer or some gay name like that they picked for him. It makes him feel like he's Indiana Jones. That's why he's dressed like Indiana Jones for the interview. But he's just a fucking scientist. He's not rich.
Yeah, he's written like 20 books. He
tries to find
from
fossils
South Africa.
Of early hominids. Yeah.
His wife's a radiologist. He's won some awards. Yeah, no, he's a
science guy.
He's a scientist, dude. This is a real science guy. My mistake, dude. He really rubbed me.
I get why you thought that, because he presents himself as that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he really just rubbed me in the way that Father Antonio does, and
and dude, do not mark our words right now when we record this podcast. And the next 3 months, he's gonna be even more like that. Because he's going to be like feeling like he's famous now and he found the thing. He's going to start dressing like Indiana Jones and carrying a whip around and saying like discoveries of people. He's going to get real douchey, I'm sure. But I'm just saying, as of right now, you can't call him a rich guy douche, because he actually did put the work in. So I got to
wait a minute, though. It does say he's a distinguished Eagle Scout and received the Boy Scouts.
Well, how do you think he was so good at walking in the woods?
Honor Medal for saving a life in 1987. So just saying, he's a douchebag.
Wait a minute, what?
Just kidding, dude. Boy Scouts are the backbone of the United States of America, okay? They are the backbone. If they weren't here, we would all be nothing.
If they weren't there, how would kids learn it's okay for adult men to abuse you? And then join the army. I get it. I agree with you.
Exactly, and he skipped
Boy Scouts is a good training to say it's okay for adult men to boss you around and touch you however they want, and then you go in the army and they do the same thing.
Yeah, how else are you going to shower at camp if you don't bring an adult with you in the shower?
Exactly, and how else are you going to learn how to tie knots?
Yeah, you don't know what to do, dude. There's no other way, and then how else
they
are
teach
you going to have?
Boy Scouts how to tie knots so that after you get PTSD and the military, you can tie a noose and kill yourself. Trust me, you guys are going to want to know this later in life when you realize the horrors of war.
In about 15 years when shit's going to start piling up a little bit.
I know you don't care but...
This knot is funny now, but...
There's not a whole lot of knots in the Navy anymore, but believe me, you're going to need this one later.
Yeah.
The VA is not going to come calling for you.
This one knot you'll never forget. Trust me, it's real easy to do. Dude, when I was
in the last knot you ever tie, literally.
All right, guys, welcome back to our favorite podcast. It's the Dylan Joe Basin podcast. Today, it's me, Dylan. Internally, though, known throughout the podcast, my name is Igor Zagevich, and I'm joined today by Joe. Joe, who are you?
I'm known this week as Father Antonio. Blood of Christ. You're also known as the resident bad boy of the podcast, as established in episode 80, which I was really liking that. I didn't cut the clips out, but you're the bad boy, man. You really are.
Thanks,
We're
dude.
back again
Thanks, dude.
this
So was
week.
Igor Zagevich, and Father Antonio also was the bad boy at church.
They were, both of them were the bad boys of their respective groups. That's for sure.
Father Antonio, man, what a guy. That guy.
He can't
guy
still
like
be with
this-
us, can he? He must be with God at the seat of the right hand of the Father now.
Yeah, I definitely think so. He really liked wine, and I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, totally understand that. Loved wine. He's also the only person I've ever met in my entire life who can reliably read upside down. Do you
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah, because you had to hold the book when you did the lectern or whatever when he has to read.
Yeah.
And you were always the best altar server ever, so I'm sure you nailed it. Tell a
Yeah.
story for the
Bro, I'm
folks,
the-
though.
So, not sure if we've ever.
We were both
really,
altar
how have
servers
we-
at the church.
I know, but how have we gone almost 100 episodes and we've never really formally mentioned that me and Joe were altar boys?
I mean, we must have at least mentioned it in passing. I can't imagine we didn't, but I don't think
Dude,
we've
I don't
gone
think
into
we
it.
did. I don't think we heard this.
No.
How many times were you molested?
Oh, only the 5. I think if it's less than a baker's dozen, they don't really count it on the books.
Doesn't
It's
count,
kind of like
yeah.
if you get, it's like a point system, like for like when you get like pulled over for your car. If you just get like, I mean, if one of them is just you grab my nuts, that doesn't really count as molestation. That's just roughhousing.
No,
That's
or
horseplay.
if they dip their finger in the wine, let you drink from their thumb, that's also doesn't count.
I don't think that counts.
That's not-
That's 0 points for that. That's just
That's
having
just
a good time.
that's just nice. Yeah, it's just a nice
And
gesture.
also, I should say that's the blood of Christ. You know, that's not wine. All right, so that's a sacrament. It's a whole.
No, I was
sacrament.
talking back at the little room where you get changed, and it's not the blood of Christ yet. It's still just a, it's still just
we
a
had
bottle
different name
of.
for that.
Yeah, it's still just a bottle of.
That was called the corral when I was there.
Yeah, back then it was still just a bottle
All the young
of 14.
stallions come wandering in, and then the fillies come in, and then they get all excited. You know.
Yeah, they do. But
Let me look at your teeth and let me see the size of those thighs to see if you're a worthy horse. If you're a good racing horse, maybe you're a working horse.
How good of an altar boy are you? No, but before I don't know if anyone knows this, but before that it officially becomes the blood of Christ, it's a bottle of Barefoot or Yellowtail Merlot
It's
or
just
Cabernet.
straight up. You know what it is? It's that fucking Italian, that jug. It's like that. What is the name of that company? You know what I'm talking about, though. Like,
I
it's
know
like
the
a
jug.
big, like
Yeah,
glass
yeah.
jug. You put on, like, people store it like on their floor. They don't put it in
Dude,
the
what
shelf.
Fuck
Like
is that?
Carlo Rossi. Carlo Rossi.
Carlo Rossi. Yep.
Yeah,
The
that's
old
what it is. It's an industrial sized Carlo Rossi, and then it becomes the blood of Jesus Christ.
So before you're drinking the blood of Christ, you're drinking red Carlo.
Yeah.
It's Carlo
That's why
Rossi.
it tastes like blood.
Or
That's why you
Rosso,
can
I don't know.
taste that iron kind of taste to it, like the blood of Christ would have. Yeah, that's
It's
Carlo
actually
Rossi.
Carlo from Milan is bloodletting himself just a little bit in the bottle of wine. That's meant
You
only for church.
You can imagine those like batch vineyards where they're like, we have these specific grapes, and this is batch. This is what month it came out, and they have like these, little like, little distillation and the whole process, and it's all very beautiful and condensed and all that. But you got to picture Carlo Rossi as like literally industrial size, like the size of a school bus, like vats, and they just dump everything in and go, all right, just crush it all up. We're selling it for $3 for 2 gallons. We can't be too, If some things get in there, some debris, some rats, whatever, that's all part of the program. It'll all wash out.
And we're either our clientele for this wine are 2 people only. 2 types of people.
Old Italian people and
who,
old Portuguese people.
Exactly, but depending on who they are, they either just wet their lips, which is disgusting, with the same glass that everyone's drinking, or they drink a lot of it, which means both of them don't care about the taste. So
Exactly.
or the quality.
The taste is not important.
Not important
bulk
to either
buy,
people.
yeah.
Bulk buy.
If you're going to serve 100 people at a barbecue, are you going to buy hot dogs or steaks? I think we know the answer. And
Well, exactly. And then if you have
the hot dogs of Christ. The hot
if you have
dogs of
2,000,
Jesus Christ.
if you have hot dogs of Jesus Christ, we named this episode that. If you have 2,000 years of people telling you that this isn't just good wine, this is the actual blood
of your deity. You're drinking
of
the
your
blood
deity.
of God.
It doesn't matter what it is. So, like, it could be just vinegar with red food coloring, and they'd be like, "Yeah, this is this is the blood of Christ. It's fine."
Which you just described Carlo Rossi, but yeah, it doesn't matter what it is. It is the blood of Jesus Christ. So it tastes It's not about the taste. It's about the imbuing with God's blood. Which I mean, I always thought from other mythologies, if you drink the blood of a god, you gain some of their power and their might. I don't know if maybe they're diluting it too much if there's too many followers, but I feel like if you drink the blood of Christ, you should get Christ powers for like, I don't know, like an hour until your liver processes it out or whatever.
Yeah,
like maybe walk on water for like 4 or 5 steps, just enough to make a career as an illusionist. I don't know. I think people haven't really tested this out. Yeah, does anyone ever drink the blood of Christ and then try to do some of the stuff he did? Like, I think it'd be worth trying out.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, to be honest, I mean, they're probably just kind to each other and they think this is coming from that. But,
I guess. But I would like to chug a blood of Christ and try to turn fishes and loaves into a multiplication table problem. Just give me a nice Alaskan bullworm and I'll just chug the blood of Christ and see if I can't double that thing.
That's the ultimate. The ultimate hot dogs of Christ competition level is the Alaskan bullworm.
Yeah. If you don't want to know how the sausage is made. The sausage of Christ is made. Hot dogs are the Carlo Rossi of barbecue meats, though, right? We can at least agree on that. That is the Carlo Rossi of barbecue. It's like, it tastes good enough. It's good. Well, you put some stuff on it. You're not really worrying about it. It's really not a filet mignon. It's more of a hot dog of Christ at that point.
But at least it's not out of... So we've talked about this before because the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Jesus drank from a wooden...
And we'll get to the episode, but this is more important right now.
We'll get there. You guys are going to like this one. But, wine tastes just fine from an oak chalice. You know what it doesn't taste good in? Is what I drank from last episode I was on was like stainless steel. Or probably more likely is not stainless, is either silver, gold, or brass, or copper. It adds more blood. Yeah, it looks nice, but it doesn't taste good. So there's just a lot going on there. That's just not.
Yeah, that's not the ideal wine.
Sense. No.
They don't serve you wine. If you go to a vineyard, they don't serve you wine in metal cups or chalices, whatever. Like
no.
I get at the time in the ancient times and stuff like that. You don't want to have glasses because not only is it difficult to produce at the time, it's much easier now because of our new methods and our crucibles. It's also not, the staying power is not there. You can't just go to the dollar store and buy 3 glasses of wine for $3, which you can now. And I have bought a wine glass from the dollar store, and it does work until you look at it the wrong way and it shatters into a million pieces. But if you're a king or some kind of noble, you want to get a metal cup because you're like, this will stay in my family for years. And then I can act like, I'm king shit, which I think is
and their sanitation and cleaning process wasn't great, so...
No. So I'm sure they're porous as hell, too. Those metals are just all catching all kinds of bacteria. And all
because they're either cast at most, they're not polished. Like, who knows? Yeah. But if I was anyone, I'd be drinking from wood. But wood holds more bacteria because it's porous, so there's some issues here.
That is the, what do you call it? The, not the divine chalice, the fucking... The Goblet of Christ.
Yeah. The Goblet of Christ.
What's it called, though? No, the famous one. The famous one.
No, I know. The chalice of...
No. It's Indiana Jones, and then he
No, I know, but what was it?
And then they find the wooden one, and it's the Holy something. How can we not think of this right
The Holy Grail?
Yes, it is the Holy Grail. Thank you, Dylan. Yes, the Holy Grail.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking Ark of the Covenant, but we know that's a box.
That's a different Indiana Jones movie. Indiana Jones is very Christian, actually, when it comes down to it.
Super good.
2 of the movies are just about getting items from Jesus and God.
Yeah. Did you ever actually drink the wine at church? Because I don't think I ever did. Maybe once, but never.
You might have done it at First Communion, because I think at First Communion they have you do both, just to be like, hey, come on, test it out. I know, but I did do it probably a handful of times, maybe 5 or 6 times ever. But I still had the idea when I was a kid where I'm not supposed to drink this, because in my head, even though I was like, it is the blood of Christ, the transubstantiation thing never really hit with me, even though I believed in everything. And I was like, but it is still wine though, because it tastes like wine. If you drink the whole thing, you get drunk. So I never wanted to do it because I thought I was going to get in trouble or I was like breaking the rules. And they'd let you do it. They let kids do it, but I always felt like I was kind of like going against the rules. And breaking the rules wasn't really my thing when I was a kid. And especially not in church, because I feel like that's double breaking the rules. So I only did it a couple times when I thought I'd get away with it, but mostly I never tried it.
Unspoken,
but it did taste like wine.
You had some fucking balls, dude. It was embarrassing to, if you're getting communion, to then make the move to go get the wine because you believe that much.
Salad. You're like, I think I'll have a dessert too.
But it took like it's like it's like those people who are like calling the doctor, like, and they're like, "Hi, yes, my name's Dylan Reed," and like it's nerve wracking. It's the same type of nerve wracking when you go from
they can tell you don't
host
believe in yourself
to the wine. It's like you got some balls. This is like a real ball move, and then you have to people. You know that all the girls that you like are watching you too. So
they're all watching.
You have to do it. You have to do it kind of
cool. Khaki plated booty.
Yeah, you got to kind of do it cool to make sure you don't look like an idiot. There's a lot going on there that no one's talking about. When you go over to get the wine, it's like it's a move, and it's
they knew I was trying to act cool when I took it. I did the up, down, up, and then I downed it to show off the front of the Chiquitas.
Well, I mean, all jokes aside, and then you're also like running through your head.
All jokes aside, please.
There's what, like 400 people in this church, and most of them are really old. And they smell old. And we'll talk about Dick later, guys. Don't worry. This is not
don't you worry.
Spoiler.
That's coming up in a future episode.
But dude, when Dick from St. Michael's was drinking from that thing, and then you go after him,
in that thing.
Dude, you know that Dick. You know that Dick.
All they do is wipe it with a decorative cloth, not even like an actual towel, like just a decorative like.
Which means it's not porous, like it doesn't absorb. Exactly.
It's like vinyl. It just kind of wipes it around like a squeegee, and then onto the next one. But dude,
right now,
it's disgusting.
I mean, now's a different time. If Dick wanted to share a beer with me, I'd probably let him have a sip because you're at a brewery and it's fine. But like, and we went, you know what I mean. But like, you're there in the wine glass. Like, if someone has lipstick on, like, you're getting it.
And there's a ton of lipstick on there. All the old ladies coming out, for the Lord. Wearing their best shade of rouge, just really right.
Yeah, and you're getting that going on. Like, what's up with that, dude? I don't know.
But I would say that's the way to do it, though. I think that's what Jesus intended. He said, "If you drink my blood and eat my body, you'll have a life everlasting. You partake in the kingdom."
He said it when there was fucking 11 of them. 12
Yeah,
of them.
but I mean, who's eating a whole loaf of bread and not drinking any wine? Your mouth's going to be dry as shit. It's like doing the saltine challenge.
Well,
like,
dude, remember we did
wine too,
dude,
right?
remember
a
bunch of years ago? You're right. Remember a bunch of years ago we did the game where we poured a mixing bowl and filled it with beer and passed it around and sang a song?
Yeah, Macho Man.
Macho Man. Yeah, but there was like 10 of us, dude. It was fine. It wasn't that
Well, we were
gross.
protected by the Spirit of the Lord, the Holy Spirit. So that's why we didn't get sick.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. We were doing a ritual.
And when we did get sick, it was because our immune system was compromised and not because we just took in the pathogens from 8 other people we know and have been, who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Who knows what they're doing, dude? That morning? It ain't gonna happen, dude. Morning,
noon, and night. And on that note, I think we should get into the podcast. Just in case we haven't alienated all of my aunts who like the podcast, we started off with shitting.
It's all right, guys. Yeah. And well,
we're
and
joking
just back,
around.
But we're joking around, and neither of us were molested. It's fine. Like,
we weren't molested. I was joking about that. I wasn't molested.
Yeah,
not everyone was molested. They didn't have enough time.
The most molested I got at church was when our principal had a bunch of boys remove a dead bird from the front of her Volkswagen Bug.
Yeah, and she was a woman and not part of the clergy.
And we watched it. I was like, whoa, Mrs.
I'll never forget that. She had a black VW Beetle, Mrs. Warner, and she had
Mrs. Warner, and she hit a bird on the way to work, and it was lodged in her grill around the Volkswagen sign. And she made some students who were old enough, because we weren't old enough to do it. I would have. That's the most.
I wouldn't have.
That's the most traumatic. I mean, a lot of things were traumatic at that time at that school, but that was fucked. But also, kids just absolutely eating shit in the fucking parking lot was always funny. Some kid you didn't like in his khakis is playing football on pavement.
We were playing tackle football on pavement in jagged like cracks.
Yeah, it wasn't smooth like new pavement. It was like just
it was like 20-year-old shit. And that was
a bike rack that was 1,000 years old.
It is so funny to think like it seems so normalized. Like that's just the playground or whatever.
Some
and to see other schools do like there's grass, there's bark mulch, there's like
stuff.
Slides.
You have like ground up tires and shit.
Yeah, anything besides literally 20-year-old asphalt that's been cracked to shit, which doubled as the pickup line.
Yeah. So what did we do? Because that
single file. There's one driveway to bring in like 90 cars to pick all the kids up, and they have to do another round. You'd be standing out there for like half an hour to get picked up.
Yeah, and then
parking lot.
The only kid in the school who had 2 dads, which at the time was, now that's completely normal and cool and fine. No one gives a fuck. It's all good.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Oh, you do, dude. What do we call him? He was like 5 or 6 years younger than us. He had 2 dads.
I don't remember this at all. I feel like I would have remembered this.
I forget who it was.
Two dads. Controversial to go to a Catholic school with two dads.
Every now and then, I know. Every now and then, his dads would pick him up with a Ferrari Maranello. So we're like, joke's on us, dude. Like my mom, we're all here in our fucking Windstars, in our caravans.
Yeah, because that's what happens when both your parents work. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. And then my girlfriend from pre-K to second grade till her house burned down, she got picked up by her dad, who was divorced, in a Buick GNX. I always thought that was cool.
Basically, if you have a woman in your life, you can't have a nice car. That's just the way it is.
That's just the way it is. Igor
unless they have
gets it. So that was funny. But before we wrap this up, I just want to say, since we didn't get hurt enough at recess, just standing on the pavement, doing kickball, throwing a ball around, wall ball, whatever it was. Me and Joe and the cool kids. Not saying we were the cool kids, but we definitely were. I mean, there's no question about that, because there was one not cool kid in our entire class of 8 boys.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't a really contentious, but we mostly
maybe
all get
12,
along.
maybe 15 boys. There was usually like
one
out of 15.
Cool when there's 8 boys. Just don't be a little annoying piece of shit, and he just couldn't even handle that much.
Yeah, couldn't even handle that. Yep. But we would go behind the basketball hoop that was like in the A pillar of the
it was like 20 feet
watcher.
in front of the dead Robin.
Yeah, exactly. So we were in like a blind spot for the people watching us, and we would hold each other in the shoulder and punch each other in the stomachs as hard as we could, and see who wasn't a pussy.
That was a good game. We definitely talked about that before. We definitely talked about that.
Oh, we have, but that was a good game, dude.
That's a good game.
I thought that was a great game.
But I'd be remiss about one last thing about the parking lot playground is that there's a story. I wasn't there for this, but he was in Jack Radigan's class, and his name was Robbie something. It's not Raymond. He didn't go to Hudson Catholic. And he was like one of those like old baby people where, like, obviously when you're like a kid, a 13-year-old's like an adult. But even at the time, I thought he looked like a giant baby. Like he had like a baby face, but he was like big boy, and he was kind of chubby too. And he's probably almost as tall as Jack Radigan, which is probably like, I don't know, over 6 feet, or probably just 6 feet tall. So the story goes that they went for a football pass, and it was over. So the edges of this parking lot are the brick building, 2 exits, a stone wall with principals parked with dead birds, and then there was a metal chain link fence. Now that I'm not sure was the school property or not, but it was on the yards of individuals who owned homes there. So I don't know who built it first, but that was the dividing line between the school property and the residential area, and it was a like old chain link fence. And as the story goes, the kid reached up for the pass to catch the ball. The ball was going over the fence. He was trying to grab it before it went in there, because I know that the teachers definitely shoo you away from jumping into people's yards to grab balls. Like, that's the last thing they need. All these kids screaming out in their yard. That must have driven the property value down by $50,000 at least. Anyways, he reaches for the ball, he catches it, and as his arm comes down, it comes down the top of the chain link fence and slices the bottom, his tricep open, from like, soup to nuts. And as Miss Milner mentioned this, she goes, you could see his fat cells. That's how deep it cut into his flesh. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Jesus
he must have had like 80
Father
stitches.
Antonio.
He came down with his full body weight on the top of that rusty chain link fence and just unzipped them. And that must have been quite a scene. As far as I know, he kept his arm, but like if you cut that deep from a fence, not even a knife, he must have come down with some force. And I'll never forget that. You see his fat cells. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. So that was not a very safe playground by any means, I would say. Yeah. No. Now they at least laminate the chain link so it's kind of like plastic over it. It's like like black rubbery kind of top.
Yeah, they put something over it.
They don't have any exposed pieces of sharp, jagged metal at the top of it, and it twists around,
Dude, all the railings were like metal pipe, like half-inch metal pipe.
Like, they're supposed to be used
if you're running for
football,
football, you take it in the gut, dude. Yeah, exactly. Like, who thought of this? Because the thing is
it's all money saving. It's all money saving.
Well, you've got boys specifically,
young,
like
live, sexy boys.
A stand-up comedian recently said, I was talking about some gender things, and it is what it is, but she was like, when's the last time you've ever seen a 9-year-old girl piss out a campfire? And it's so accurate,
That's true.
dude. And I can't name one guy I'm friends with who hasn't. So
I can't think. I can't name one guy who hasn't. And I can't name one girl who has. So I mean, equality still has a way to go.
So you get boys from the ages of 1st grade to 8th grade. They immediately see, okay, this is a 6 or 7 story building. There's a fence here. There's a basketball hoop. There's another fence there. Let's see who can throw it over the fence. Let's see who can throw a ball on the top of the building. Let's see who can dunk the basketball hoop and smash the backboard. Those are the goals. You go to recess.
Pushing the limit.
That's the goals. You go, I'm going to smash the backboard.
I cannot imagine
football
how many
over
balls,
the fence.
When they went on top of that roof at the end of the year, they must have been like fucking 20 balls. At least per year.
Yeah, because you were fucking cool. If you were able to throw it or kick it up there, it means you're awesome.
Yeah, you were cool for that second, but everyone's like, because we don't have a backup ball. Like, that ball's gone now. Recess is over. We're playing freeze tag now.
Yeah, which is freeze tag, dude. Yeah. So
I think freeze tag is pretty
guys,
good.
So yeah, go on. Yeah.
No, I can't go into freeze tag. We haven't even introduced the podcast yet. We did 20 minutes on Father Antonio, which I would not take away. We're keeping that in, obviously. But
dude, don't take any of this away. This is all gold.
No. Don't worry. I'm not taking it. I'm just now we should probably introduce what the podcast is about, since people listen and realize.
Yeah. So guys, so it's Igor and Father Antonio here, and today we are talking about something you need to lose weight for, apparently, and that is
being an altar boy. They had scales in the stable.
Yeah, besides being an altar boy,
if I can't lift you up like a bowling ball, you're out. You got to be a deacon, or you're gonna quit the job. Yeah. It's like going to Babe Ruth League. At some point, you age out. You gotta, You know
what they say, dude. If you can't lift them, drop them. Sorry, you can't lift them.
Those who can't do, teach.
If you can't lift them, dump them. That's how it goes. No, but no.
You know, they say grip it and rip it.
The Cave of Bones is what we're talking about. Specifically, unknown until now, until the guy who can't fit in a cave discovered.
Oh, no, don't worry. His name is Lee Berger, which is a fantastic name.
Oh, Lee Berger. It's almost as good as Dick, dude. Lee Berger has discovered unknown ghost human species that no one has known about.
I wouldn't describe it that way.
I wouldn't say they're ghosts, but they're ghosts. They're ghosts because they're not on record.
Yes, they are. They are unknown.
Not because they're a bunch of fucking dead ghosts.
I thought you were saying that they were like spirits.
No. Like ghosts from history. Ghosts from history.
Yeah, like when someone doesn't text you back. That kind of ghosting.
That kind of ghost. Yeah, from history, not on the record.
Absolutely, yeah. So, in a nutshell, basically, we talked about something like this in the past. We talked about things like Bigfoot or megafauna. We talked about different hominids, which are the name for human-like species that have existed on planet Earth. And now that we exist,
like Father Antonio,
hominidicalized. Now that we exist, we kind of took over the niche that is the dominant intelligent species in the world. But there was a long time period when we coexisted with Neanderthals, which are another hominid species. They're human-like species like us.
Dude, I have Neanderthal DNA according to my 23andMe. Like, we were banning
exactly.
each other.
A lot of people still have Neanderthal
we
DNA.
We coexisted with Neanderthals. It's like having a bunch of different breeds of cats.
Yes.
That's what it is. Some have bigger ears.
It's not quite like it. It's more like a wolf and a coyote having a baby together, which is
there
possible.
You go. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Because they are different species.
It is.
Let's not forget that aspect. They're different species. They're very similar, and if species are similar enough, they can interbreed, like how they can make a liger. Pretty amazing. They're different species of animals, but they're close enough genetically that they can produce offspring sometimes. Not 100% of the time. But that always blows my mind that ever happened, ever. Because you just think, God dropped you on Earth, humans are special, everything else is an animal, humans aren't animals, that's it. No, not only are we not just animals like everybody else, which we are, we existed among other species that were so much like us, we could have coyote fuck them and make a fucking kid out of it. I mean, that was happening in our DNA record. That's why we have it still in us. So not only was that true...
gingers, too. I mean, the people with red hair.
Yeah, I don't know how they
beards,
got there. They must have fucked a red fox or something.
Yeah, probably.
Figure something out. Red panda.
Or a giant.
Or a giant.
So we know that the giants who were clearly in the Midwest, like the upper Midwest, like Detroit and shit.
Yeah,
that's where the red-haired giants
Nephilim
were.
And shit, all the red-haired giants.
Yeah, Nephilim, dude, yeah. Shout out to episode 1. 10.
So yeah, not only did that exist at the same time, there's been many human-like species that have existed that led up to our existence, and they had their own ways of living, and they weren't just like, I mean, even looking at chimpanzee troops now, we're like, holy shit, there's so much like us. They have a family group, they have communication, they have teamwork, they have successes, failures, sorrow, happiness. And they're not even close to what these species we're going to talk about today were like. The species we're talking about today are so much highly intelligent, very human-like, and obviously over the course of millions of years. But what we're talking about today is a discovery that's very recent in South Africa, where they discovered an as of yet unidentified species. It might turn out it's a species that we know about, but here's the difference. There is evidence of them having burial ceremonies. There's markings on the walls. There's a ritual burial site deep in these caves. That means that not only does a species that's not human, not Neanderthal, have the capacity to not only have tools, but to use them to have some kind of experience outside themselves, the understanding of death, or maybe the afterlife, but it happened approximately a million years before we did it. So humans didn't even, I don't think it was a million years. It was like 500,000 years. But humans didn't even have any burial practices, anything yet. We existed in our, primal form, our earliest form. And this species, meanwhile, was doing this shit before we even did it. So that means there was a species that perhaps buried their dead, definitely made art before humans ever deemed that a possibility. And I think that's fucking fascinating. We're going to talk about that.
It's fucking fascinating. And before Lenny, or whatever his fucking name was...
Lee Berger.
Okay, I was close. Lee Berger, not Lenny Berger.
They were Berger. That's the important part. It's funny.
Yeah, Berger. So they were kind of onto this because, less than 10 years ago, they analyzed DNA from the same area of other bones and shit, and found that 2 to 20% of the genetic ancestry of the people that we know about came from an unaccounted source. And this is by doing some sort of DNA stuff with the bones. Yeah. So they're wondering, who was this?
Who was it? What species is it? I think that he did mention in the TV interview that we saw about this that there's a Netflix documentary coming out about it. I imagine we'll have more information there about what possible species it was or whatever. But what we do know is that it was not human. So at the very least, things that are not human were making
it's human.
art.
It just wasn't Homo sapien.
Well, Homo sapien is a human. Anything else other than human is not Homo sapien.
Dude, what's a human?
A human is a Homo sapien. That's it.
What's
That's
a
the species.
Homo sapien?
Homo sapien is the species that we also colloquially call it human. But there's other things like Neanderthals, Homo erectus.
Sapiens is the big thing. All the Homo erectus.
Yeah, they're all homos.
Shit.
They're just not all humans. We're the only humans.
Instead of
they're all homos.
They're all sapiens.
No. Sapien is only us. They're all homos. They're all homo. That's what they're called, hominids. They're all called homo. So we have Homo neanderthalis, Homo erectus, Homo sapien, Homo habilis, Homo. It's all homos all the way down. But sapien means the same as us. So Homo sapien is just humans.
Means the
That's
same.
it. No. Sapien means the same.
Homo means the same.
Doesn't it? Homo means same sex. Yeah, hetero versus homo. So what's Homo sapien mean?
Same.
What's sapien mean?
Sapien is all of we're sapiens. We're Homo sapiens because
we're the same.
Like homosexuals versus heterosexuals means that you bang the same.
Yeah, no, you're totally right about that. Yeah, but they're all called homo, which means the same.
I know a thing or two, Joe.
So yeah, no, you're right. I just said homo 10 times. No, you're right. It's the same. So I guess
homosexuals have sex with each other.
Sapien means wise. I guess I just looked it up.
Okay,
so it's like
wise.
Neanderthals are the same as us, but they're turtles. Erectus is the same as us, except they're tall. I mean, they stand up straight. That's why they call it erectus. They have straight backs. They stand up straight. And then I guess Homo sapien means the same as us, but wise. But anyways, don't let the liturgy fool you here. Homo sapiens are just humans. These are all human-like species, but they're not human species at all. They're all we consider apes. And we are an ape too, but these apes, they're apes. They're like, mostly what we consider today, there's very few apes still alive that are this intelligent. So they're more like some kind of, human-like chimpanzees or something like that. Like maybe we might not even recognize them. They're highly intelligent, but they're not humans. They are they existed well before us, and they wouldn't have come in contact with us. As far as we know by the fossil record, we never met this species before. But apparently, they beat us to the punch on making art and burying the dead, which would be, if it is true, which I don't know, but if that is true, that's an amazing discovery because as far as we know, humans are the only species to have ceremonial burials, religion, concept of death, and make art. And as far as this discovery goes, this species that's not human did it already before we did it. And then they died before we were able to either have record of them or contact them. Because as far as we know, we were only living alongside a couple of species of Homo, and they didn't do this kind of shit before that, as far as we know.
All right, I have to, just because...
Please.
Because people find this as the source of all information and news coming from a
and this will be great when we catch on the heat
source.
wave of this new Netflix podcast or Netflix documentary, and then they click on our video and then watch Father Antonio bits for the first 20 minutes, and then they immediately shut it off.
We're talking
I was like,
we'll
talk about current events. You know how we do that? We usually have a bump in current event stuff, and then like the first 20 minutes are about like Father Antonio grabbing our balls.
Father Antonio, and then homosexuals versus Homo sapiens versus primates. Yeah. And then we're getting confused.
I just know that you're right. Homo means the same. Sapiens, I guess, means wisdom, but I know that sapiens means human. So they're all Homo, but we're the only sapiens.
I got it. So, okay, when you first ask Bing what the full definition of a human
you gotta
is,
Bing it. You gotta Bing it. Ask Jeeves offline.
It says it's a bipedal primate mammal, Homo sapien, a person, and then it says. And this is coming from...
It's just the Latin word for human.
Wait a minute.
Dude.
I know, but just hang on, because then what's a human?
It's like vulpus vulpus, or canis familiaris.
Vulva, vulpus, whatever, all the same. So when you go to Wikipedia, it says a human primate. I'm going to read this, and it's okay. I know we don't like this, but I have to.
Okay.
Humans are the most common and widespread species of primate. A great ape, dude. We're great. We're great apes.
Not just
characterized by our bipedalism and high intelligence. Humans have a large brain and resulting cognitive skill that enables them to thrive in varied environments and develop complex societies and civilizations. And our scientific name for the human is Homo sapien. Our higher classification is Homo. And humans eat potatoes,
our family's
corn,
mammalia,
oat, wheat, and boletus reticulatus. And then our speed, also important, for males, is 8 miles an hour. And guess what it is for females?
7.
6.5. And then
damn.
We have 206 bones in our family, besides me and you, and our entire listener group.
It's mammals, right? Mammals.
You guys are all our family. Besides you guys, the family is hominid A, like I-A-E.
Yeah, that's the Homo.
And our intelligence is really, really good. And we have 46 chromosomes, unless you're Joe. And then we have millions of tiny living organisms, which all together are called the human microbiota.
Yeah, that's dumb. That's dumb New Age bullshit.
Well, I just want everyone to know, if they're wondering and you have to take a test tomorrow.
If you really think about it, you're not just one species. You have all this bacteria in your microbiome. It's like, yeah, but we're talking about the actual animal, okay? Not all the mites that live on your eyebrows, which don't forget, every day of your life, there's hundreds of mites living on your eyebrows and eating your skin cells. So.
Billions, trillions probably.
I don't think it's that many.
But so let me bring this up before we get off topic, is that
sure,
some of the first people to bang first humans to start banging around,
just banging around,
that type of stuff, where,
just banging around.
Yeah, just banging around, dude. It's the way to go.
You ever seen that meme with Beetlejuice from the Howard Stern show where he's like, what are you doing? Who? Me? What? Just hanging around.
No, I like it though.
I'll insert it right here, folks. There you go. Sorry about the
stilting
your speech. Go ahead.
So we have Homo sapiens and then Neanderthals. I say Neanderthal. I think that thal
Yeah, I
sounds
almost
easier
said
than
Neanderthal
tall.
earlier because I know that's how
Because
it's supposed
people
to say it,
do, dude.
but
When
I
you listen to
can't.
Ancient Aliens, some guys say tall, some guys say thal. I think that it's
Yeah, I'm gonna go with thal. I'm
And
gonna
you know
stick
what?
with thal.
Know who's not knowing. Like when you go to another country and you sound like an idiot because you're trying to pronounce margarita, and they like it.
Margarete.
Yeah, exactly.
I still
And then
think it's
you
okay
say-
in that sense, but for me, it
No,
sounds
but
like
I don't
aluminium
think it's
and
okay.
aluminum.
Yeah, I don't think it's okay if you come back to the United States and then say that. I think that's not okay at all.
Yeah, no, I get you there for sure.
Not okay. You look like a fucking dick.
That's been
But
well
if you go
established in
there,
this
if you go
podcast,
there and you
too.
say, "Yeah, can I have a margarita?" They go, "You're an American and you look like you sound dumb." But
Wait,
anyways,
that was you doing the real version. Can I have a margarita? Oh, you sound
can I
dumb.
have
Margarita. Can I have a margarita,
Margarita.
por favor? Que yo
Hey, una
con
margarita
lima.
pizza, por favore.
Margarita.
Buenas
But yeah, no, for me, I think that one's
But hang on, I
Neanderthal.
gotta finish my point. This is very important.
Okay, yeah,
Is
sorry.
that
Mine was still about the
so
pronunciation.
everyone's talking about right now, everyone's talking about this, is that human Homo sapiens were banging Neanderthals, hence me. I have Neanderthal DNA according to 23andMe, which I think is pretty cool.
And according to your face, too.
Yeah. Oh, clearly, dude. Yeah, it's just like that. The huge pronounced
Cro-Magnon, man.
features and strong functional things like my nose and my mouth, and my
Big hands,
my
small
chewing,
dick.
my chewing, my exactly, my chewing
Big jaw.
ability. Like I have
Tiny
the
nuts.
strength of my jaw to bite down on on raw meat is just quite high. I've been
Large
told.
protruding forehead.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Yeah, exactly. Bad ideas, kind of stupid. It's all there, you know. So
Easily
they were
whipped up into
also-
a frenzy or conspiracy.
Easily,
it's all
just
there.
like them. So you had Homo sapiens.
Imagine if you had 10%, I wouldn't be able to talk to you anymore. I'd be like, oh, that guy's
insane,
lost.
dude. Yeah, it'd also be.
You
pretty
probably
funny.
would have killed me already when I insulted you. You would have beat my head in with a slab of limestone.
Yeah, I would have got defensive and said that you're trying to take over my all my 10 female
Concubines.
companions.
No,
they're
you would have
not
been right about
wives,
that, too.
but they're just people
Harem.
that I bang with a club and then drag in a cave and.
And then you bang with a club.
Yeah, right. So you've got three things going on that we knew about. Is that Homo sapiens were banging Neanderthals, and Neanderthals were banging Denisovans, and then Denisovans were banging Homo sapiens.
Yeah, so we
you
have
got
three
this,
different
like-
species here intermingling sexually. Pretty nuts.
Yeah, so there's a lot of sexual.
Maybe that's why they
activity.
did it. Pretty nuts.
Yeah, there's a lot of activity going on here sexually, and then we won this battle.
We ultimately out-survived all of them.
The whole point is that, like, we were banging all of them, and then we eventually killed all of them. That's the only way, dude. Unless like a one virus.
I think we did kill a lot of them, but
Denisovans.
I think we also outcompeted them. It wasn't like a genocide of Neanderthals. It was more like we were occupying
Were
the
you
same
there?
spaces. And I wasn't there, but there's no evidence for it. The evidence we know right now is not of mass extinction of Neanderthals, because
Dude,
it's
every
spread out
Neanderthal
over-
I've seen has a giant smash in its head from a fucking.
Yeah, I know, but they date
Warhammer.
They date relatively
wood.
the point of death within a couple hundred years, and if they all died within the same 100 years, you'd be like, okay, there's a case here that they all died at the same time. There could be some kind of weird event, even though people weren't capable of committing genocide at that scale at the time because you didn't have the information or the technology. But
Yeah, there's a
it's
lot of
more like,
walking.
over the course of a couple thousand years, there's no more Neanderthals, and look who's left. So definitely we outcompeted them, and in many cases did kill them, for sure. But I wouldn't say we wiped them out in the way we wiped out, like, the dodo bird. We didn't systematically destroy an entire species. We outcompeted them, much in the way that
what about-
other species of animals in the past have outcompeted other ones and become the ultimate one. If you're too close together, whether you're too close together genetically or physically, you're going after the same stuff, and one person's gonna win. And ultimately, the Homo sapiens did win, whether it is because of our brain function or our adaptability or whatever happened. There's a reason why we're all humans and not Neanderthals now, and you can speculate.
Yeah, but what about the case of the Cobra Cave in the Annamite Mountains of Laos?
I am unfamiliar with that case. Would you enlighten me?
Imagine CSI Miami with the guy with red hair like you. And
Yeah, Horatio.
He's going in.
His name's Horatio for whatever reason.
How the fuck is that guy's name Horatio?
I don't know, but I remember that specifically. That guy's name's Horatio. I'm like, that redheaded old dude's name Horatio. His name should be like John, like Michael.
Dude, it's like my German teacher be naming Guillermo Bartolome.
Sounds like an explorer to the Ponce de Leon level of the Fountain of Youth over here. Upcoming Color One episode.
Yeah, Guten Morgen, Guillermo, wie geht's du? It doesn't make
Isn't that
sense.
the name of the Guatemalan guy from the Jimmy Kimmel show, Guillermo, the German teacher?
Probably, yeah. No, it's the Cobra Cave, complete bloodbath of bones.
What do you mean? So it's like a bunch of dead, Neanderthals? Or?
Yeah, they clearly got massacred by Homo sapiens because we had the upper hand in technology and intelligence.
Damn. I'm sure that happened multiple times, but I mean, to kill 100 Neanderthals in a war is different than wiping out an entire species, which I think that now we're perfectly capable of, and we try to do it all the time. But in the time when you're using stone tools, it's very difficult to commit a complete extinction event as humans. I think you're giving us too much credit at the time to do that. And obviously we had similar immune systems because we were banging. It wasn't like going across the ocean and bringing smallpox blankets. We were fucking them and having babies with them. So obviously you're breathing the same air, same bacteria. So I don't think we had a genocide of Neanderthals, and there's no evidence that we ever did that. But they did all die. So, and I think also the case is that most of them were assimilated. If they didn't die, if there was 10 Neanderthals left and they were still banging away, then their babies are now Homo sapien babies with Neanderthal DNA, and we just don't count them as Neanderthals anymore. But we didn't wipe out Neanderthals in a great mass genocide of Neanderthals. There's no evidence for that.
Yeah, I mean, and if it was that important, my 23andMe would show that I probably impart Denisova,
Yeah,
It's not even on the 23andMe.
They never mentioned the Denisovans though, which are really interesting, and they're like the forgotten. They're the ghosts, as you.
Well, they're the ghosts we know of, and they're mostly in like Central Asia is where they like to call home.
I didn't even hear about that species until probably 2 years ago, and I started looking up, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I mean, obviously, we always finding new stuff, so you're never really up to date. I mean, granted, that's why we're doing the podcast. They found some new stuff this week or whatever, but for this year. But I mean, there's always new shit to look out. But I never heard the Denisovans.
So there's new shit. Yeah, dude, I didn't learn about them until 10 minutes ago. So you got the upper hand.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I was always interested in Homo erectus that went extinct before Neanderthals and humans really popped off for the first time. And they're like on that chart of the classic chart of the evolution of man, which is completely inaccurate, where it goes from chimpanzees to that. That's not accurate at all. But the one before humans is always Homo sapien because it's the closest looking. By the skeleton to humans. It's the closest looking to skeleton. Even though Neanderthals are closer to us genetically because we can interbreed with them, Homo sapiens almost look like humans. They don't have the big foreheads. They don't have the bigger jaw. They have a smaller jaw, smaller forehead, and their spine is more upright and straight than the Neanderthals. So they're almost
and they
kind of
have the same brain, which is just the great. Well, not really. I mean, Homo sapiens are 40,000 years ago, and then. Denisovas are.
Nah, let me look at my.
Well,
chart here.
It's hard to figure
out. So Homo
out.
erectus went extinct about 500,000 years ago, and Homo neanderthalis and Homo sapien started coming around, more around 300, 400,000 years ago. So it seems like Homo erectus was on its last leg, while Neanderthals and humans were really just first popping off here. So even though they weren't actually our ancestors, they were like our cousins that didn't get laid enough, apparently.
Well, it's not, definitely, but also the evolution around that time period is clearly because around, let's say, just keep it simple, 40,000 years ago, whatever it is, the last ice age, when Homo sapiens came around, they invented mushrooms. And
this is Dylan doing his invented thing, which just means you just discover something.
They invented psilocybin mushrooms and started eating them,
in order to
and then
make
they became... Well, all these robots, came online, and because of mushrooms, and their brains expanded to consciousness and understanding. They were using tools and shit before that, but so do my cats. So, stoned ape theory. Yeah, great movie, dude. Year One, love that.
Yeah, great movie. Jack Black, Michael Cera, bomb.
So funny, dude. He invents the bicycle and then gets on it and doesn't move. It's so funny.
Fantastic. So do you want to take our first commercial break?
Yeah, I'm thinking so, guys. Yeah, all right. We'll see you guys when we get back.
When we come back, we're going to dig more into the discovery, the reason why you could even find shit like this. I know a lot of people are like, how would you even know just because you found this one thing? Well, there's a lot of shit that goes into it, okay? I know you hate experts, people, but that's the way it is. And we're going to speculate on what this means for us on the other side of the Dylan Joe.
We're the experts for now, so we'll see you after the break.
Love you.
Arrived last night from Washington, D.C., where I delivered a lecture at the Smithsonian Institution and then a lecture at the National Geographic Society. And you're going to see quite a lot coming out around this discovery. In fact, probably the May issue of National Geographic, this will be a major feature in that. There's a big blue chip documentary being done at the same time.
Favorite basement podcast. This is the Dylan and Joe Basement Podcast with Dylan and Joe. We don't have Dom here this week because he was up in the White Mountains, and when he was up there, he's trying to find himself. So he's taking a bunch of ayahuasca. He's soul searching. He wants to meet a spirit animal. He suggested his spirit animal might be a moose, but I'm more inclined to believe it's more like a squirrel or a chipmunk type situation where he's skeeving around and storing up nuts in his mouth as he's been known to do. Either way, we pray for his safe return, and I hope he's had a spiritual awakening, but not too awakened because then he might not want to be on the podcast anymore. But we miss him. But this is back to the classic formula. It's me and Dylan. We're talking about stoned apes, and we're really getting into it here. So when we last left you before the commercial break, we're talking about this discovery in South Africa, which is in this deep cave system, which even watching the videos of the people going down here makes me want to cry. It's terrifying. These caves are so small as they go down. There's just little crevices where basically only your arm and your skull can fit through it, and these people are going down there for science, which I respect the shit out of because even just watching them do it makes me want to shit my pants. I could never do this. You couldn't pay me enough to go down there. Even if I knew there was a discovery. And they don't even know. They're just trying to check for it.
Yeah, Joe's, I think your number one, we talked about this on Fears and Phobias, but your number one is this.
Oh, yeah. Like getting trapped in a cave? I mean, forget it. Being trapped anywhere, just claustrophobia, just getting trapped up. So, they're doing God's
what's the craziest
work.
thing about some of these caves, like some of them are obviously cold and shitty and whatever it is, but some of them, like that cave that has all those crystals, that those crystals, they're like 100-foot long. It's in Poland.
Yeah, they're insane. They would call them geodes if they were in a rock. I don't know if they still call them geodes if they're hanging from the ceiling, but yeah, there are some amazing structures down there, millions of years old.
It's called Nyasa's Crystal Cave, and it captivates chemists. And it's in. It's been around for millennium, like forever, and it's below Nica, Mexico, and it's a cave that's like amethyst or something, and the crystals are the size of school buses. And the thing with that cave, which is so cool compared to other caves, and this is my whole point on caves, is that they're just a shitty place to be. No matter if it's cold or it's not cold or whatever it is that they are, this one is like 130 degrees with 97% humidity. Like, it's insane. So you can't even be in there for very long.
The Crystal Cave in Mexico, yeah.
Crystal caves, yeah, it's in Mexico. The crystals are like amethyst, and they're the size of school buses, and the cave is as big as like multiple basketball stadiums, height-wise and whatever. But it's like 130 degrees in there, which is terrible.
And you mentioned the humidity because
hot.
There's nowhere for the water to evaporate to, right? You're just stuck in the cave.
It's almost 100. It's almost 100%. So you can't. There's no amount of. Like when you scuba dive and you have all that stuff, you can handle the pressure and to a certain extent, and the oxygen and whatever it is. Here, there's nothing you can do. You just can only be in it for like 10 minutes at a time.
No, and I'm sure you would love to take a industrial strength dehumidifier down with you, but that's not going to fit if your body can't even fit through. So good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. So we're saying caves are a shitty place. I don't. At this age, I mean. I sound like such a dark guy, but nothing really impresses me that much to be like, I gotta do this. Like I'd be like I've seen some things, and you go there. Like, what's the one example that I was talking about last podcast? Niagara Falls. I always bring that up.
Sure.
You stand there and you go, there it is.
Wow.
Wow, look at the water.
Well, it's also proportionate to the amount of effort you have to do to see it, right? If you could just click on a picture and then all of a sudden you're at Niagara Falls, you would do it in a heartbeat. But if you have to drive, 12 hours, then fucking the whole.
It's not even that. Just that, like, you just go, yeah, that's really. I'd rather talk to people and laugh and have things. It doesn't have any. You just go, yeah, there it is. You get kind of bored kind of quick. You go, that's nice, and it's a nice place to have a drink with your friends. That's really Niagara Falls, and
Just
they don't even
another
let you do
setting.
that. So just another setting, and there's the Eiffel Tower, all that shit. Just another thing where you go, yeah, this is all right.
That's
like,
something.
That's it, dude.
But I think that caves are unique in that way because not only are they difficult to get to and awful to be in, they are a great preservation tool or situation. That's why their caves have all of these things, like these amazing crystals or these
Dead
fossils
bodies.
of early hominids, dead bodies. It's because they're so isolated from the outside environment that these things can still exist there. I mean, every single fossil we know exists because it was covered in some way, and most of its material was supplanted by more rock-like material. That's like when they find dinosaur bones, quote unquote, they're not finding bones. They're finding what used to be bones that have been supplanted by rock-like material. That's why fossils are basically rocks, but they're in the same shape and the same geometry as it, so you can basically do the same way. These fossils that they're finding in this cave we're talking about there still is some bone material in there, but most of the calcium has been replaced with other rock-like materials, and they call it a bacha, which is basically like a combination of all kinds of rocks crushed together under pressure, which is very much like cement. So basically, these things are encased with like a natural cement, and that's why we can still see them. And they have all these, advanced tools. They don't just use chisels and knives anymore to break it out. They use like all this crazy like air pressure stuff to do it. But basically, because of these caves and because of all the rocks surrounding it, we can still see these bones of these, very hundreds of thousands of years old hominids that exist there. But if there's all the hominids that died on the surface and not in this deep cave that's nearly impossible to get to, all those bones existed. They're gone. They were either eaten, dissolved, weathered. They're all gone. You have to have these very specific circumstances, like these deep caves that are oppressive and awful to go to have this these pristine evidence.
Yeah, exactly. So that brings us to Ziggy. What's his name?
Lee Berger.
Lee Berger. I'll never get that down. Lee Berger. So he reminds me an awful lot about the way he is and talks as the guy who just died in the submersible, the Titan.
Oh, you think
God.
so? The
Dude,
ocean guy.
Dude, they're these rich guys who have nothing to do, and they go, "Let me go be an explorer like the old days," and they go, "Fine."
Is that what he is, or do you just glean that from his attitude?
Just attitude alone. I mean, no other.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
I
no.
get that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean,
Why is he? Sorry,
obviously,
I didn't mean to insult anyone. Is he poor?
No, well, he's not a rich guy. He
Is he poor and not retired? He's just at work and he just fucking.
He works. That's his job, dude. He's a scientist. He's a paleontologist. Like he doesn't own a ranch in Alaska that costs $1.7 billion. He's digging up mammoth bones and jerking off to his friends. He works for National Geographic to find fossils. I mean, obviously the people who work for him.
Wow, I couldn't be more wrong.
I can see why you're mistaken because he dressed as Indiana Jones for the interview. He dressed as Indiana Jones, dude. I mean, it's his own fault. He's coming across as a douche.
I just thought that he was jerking off all day. That's just my first thought.
No, dude, his job is just to do that. I watched a whole 1 hour video of him describing how they find the bones, what they are. He's a science nerd, like he's a scientist, dude. I mean, obviously he's not poor because he's the boss of those people, and they probably get paid like minimum wage to go in his tunnels and dig shit up. But like the guy is not a rich guy. He's like a scientist. Like that's his job. He looks all this shit up. He's a researcher. He has the rubber gloves on. He's telling you all about the bones. He's so excited about it. He's like a real nerd, like science dude. He's not like the boner guy or like these billionaires who are like, I'm going to be an explorer now. I'm going to pay these 10 guys to go dig for me. Like, this guy's job is that. We only know about him because he finally found something worth mentioning, and now he's going to jack off all over Netflix and get excited about it, which I guess is his prerogative after 30 years of looking for something and gaining too much weight to get, which he did mention in the interview. He can't crawl through the tunnels. He had to lose weight to crawl through the tunnels, which I thought that was funny. But no, he's not a rich guy. He's a resident fucking explorer or some gay name like that they picked for him. It makes him feel like he's Indiana Jones. That's why he's dressed like Indiana Jones for the interview. But he's just a fucking scientist. He's not rich.
Yeah, he's written like 20 books. He
tries to find
from
fossils
South Africa.
Of early hominids. Yeah.
His wife's a radiologist. He's won some awards. Yeah, no, he's a
science guy.
He's a scientist, dude. This is a real science guy. My mistake, dude. He really rubbed me.
I get why you thought that because he presents himself as that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he really just rubbed me in the way that Father Antonio does.
And dude, do not mark our words right now when we record this podcast. And the next 3 months, he's gonna be even more like that. Because he's going to be like feeling like he's famous now and he found the thing. He's going to start dressing like Indiana Jones and carrying a whip around and saying like discoveries of people. He's going to get real douchey, I'm sure. But I'm just saying, as of right now, you can't call him a rich guy douche because he actually did put the work in. So I got to
wait a minute though. It does say he's a distinguished Eagle Scout and received the Boy Scouts.
Well, how do you think he was so
American
good at walking in the woods?
Honor Medal for saving a life in 1987. So just saying, he's a douchebag.
Wait a minute, what?
Just kidding, dude. Boy Scouts are the backbone of the United States of America, okay? They are the backbone. If they weren't here, we would all be nothing.
If they weren't there, how would kids learn it's okay for adult men to abuse you? And then join the army. I get it. I agree with you.
Exactly, and you skip
Boy Scouts is a good training to say it's okay for adult men to boss you around and touch you however they want, and then you go in the army and they do the same thing.
Yeah, how else are you going to shower at camp if you don't bring an adult with you in the shower?
Exactly, and how else are you going to learn how to tie knots?
Yeah, you don't know what to do, dude. There's no other way, and then how else
they
are you
teach you
going to have
Boy Scouts how to tie knots so that after you get PTSD and the military, you can tie a noose and kill yourself. Trust me, you guys are going to want to know this later in life when you realize the horrors of war.
In about 15 years when shit's going to start piling up a little bit.
I know you don't care now, but...
This knot is funny now, but later
there's not a whole lot of knots in the Navy anymore, but believe me, you're going to need this one later.
Yeah.
The VA is not going to come calling for you.
This one knot you'll never forget. Trust me, it's real easy to do. Dude, when I was in
the last knot you ever tie, literally.
Dude, I'm not kidding. This is not a joke at all. I was in the Air Force version of Boy Scouts, and it's arguably worse in a lot of ways. It's
Civil Air Patrol.
Civil Air Patrol.
It's come up on the podcast before, but I always love talking about it. I'm not being
and just like the Boy Scouts of being the backbone of America, we were the backbone of the United States Air Force, Joe.
Hell yeah.
We were the backbone of the whole
Air Boy Scouts.
Yeah, the Air Boy Scouts. We were in airplanes.
They actually should have called those the Eagle Scouts because you're like the Air Force Boy Scouts.
Yeah, when an airplane crashes, who's there first? We try to be. And
the
then
coyotes.
We also then we get besides the coyotes.
Then the flies.
The Civil Air Patrol is there first. And it's a bunch of 14-year-old boys on a ham radio and a radio in the air talking to the Air Force saying,
Breaker 19, I'm 9.
Breaker 19. We can't find the crash airplane, but the transponder beacon is here. And I was trained on this. I'm 14. Yeah, we're the
I've been playing Marco Polo since I was 5. I know how this works. All my instincts in training tell me to find this guy by yelling Polo.
Yep, exactly. And then it's and then what else? Just like Lee Berger, what else are we gonna do, with guys?
Sir, I have Band-Aids. Sir, please relax. I brought bandages.
Exactly. Crashed.
Do you need my inhaler, sir? Do you need to use my inhaler? You seem to be hyperventilating.
An airplane crash, and you're gonna be like, "You need a Band-Aid?" It's like these guys, they're burning alive. They're dead.
Sir, you need to relax.
So, but
sir, do you want to look at my compass? Will that help you soothe your pain?
I have BDUs on, which are camouflage. The Air Force wears the same ones, and you can see my name tag here. It says my last name, but I'm in the Civil Air Patrol, it's like the Air Force, but it's a little different.
Sir, if I can alleviate your worries, would you look at my badges? I have the badge for taking care of old people, and you seem to be about 28 years old.
Joe, they're not badges in the CAP, they're ribbons.
Sir, do you see my ribbons? Sir, I think if you think one look at my ribbons, all your worries will disappear.
Encampment badge, it means I slept in the Army barracks at Otis Air Force Base and pissed myself. That's what this one is. And that's the one that's the only one I got.
Sir, did you piss yourself in the CAP? I don't think you did. So why don't you let the working go to me? I'm about to get my license next year, sir. I think I know a thing or two about a thing or two.
I know a thing or two. I got basic life support training at
Sir, I got basic bitch training about a month ago.
A blow-up tent at Minuteman Air Base in Stowe, Massachusetts. Minuteman Airfield. I did, okay?
Sir, are you deaf? I'm well versed in American Sign Language. I can do the full alphabet. I have a ribbon for that right here.
Do you know what the difference between
I can't speak ASL, but I can spell out the words for you if you need to talk. TALK. Is that doing anything for you? Can you hear me?
So the difference between well, actually, no, not a difference at all. So Lee Berger was an overweight guy in his 50s. Am I right?
I believe so.
I know I'm right because he said that's the first thing he had to do before he became a cave explorer. He said, my first training was
But it is a little unfair to say if he had to lose weight because he was obese. I mean, if you're going to explore a cave, you have to be skinnier than me. Like, you have to be like a fucking snake man.
I don't know, man.
That guy's way too big for that.
When he gets brought on the news and they ask him what he thinks of cave exploring, he goes, well, I had to lose weight. It's the first thing.
Yeah,
so
no,
it's obviously
I'm not saying he's not a chubby guy, but I'm not saying he's not like fucking my 3,000-pound life. He's like a fat explorer who got too fat to do his own job. Yeah, that is what he did. Yeah, for sure.
Well,
he can't fit in there anymore.
All right, so I'm looking at it right now. What do you think?
He's just yelling down. What do you see? What do you see down there? Explain it really in detail. I can't get down there.
I'm on channel 903. 903 over.
They have the soup cans. I learned this in Eagle Scouts. They drop the Campbell's soup can with the wire down.
I know. Sorry, not wire. It's fishing wire, dude.
Fishing wire.
You never made one of those? I did. It was fun.
I wasn't an Eagle Scouts. Forgive me. I never pissed myself.
Guys, it's me, Lee Berger, recipient of the Scouts of America Honor Medal for saving a life in 1987.
Your boss?
Over.
Ever heard of me? National Geographic Resident Explorer? You saw the whip in the hat, right?
Explorer. Yeah, exactly. Have you guys seen Indiana Jones? It's me.
Yeah, they call me Johannesburg Jones. No, Indiana Johannesburg. That's funnier.
No, Hamburger Jones.
They call me Johannesburger Jones. That's the one.
Joe. Well, yes, because he's from South Africa. But
yes,
but I was just thinking.
Jones.
I was just thinking. I just thought Hamburger Jones was good too.
Yeah, that's funny. It doesn't take into account his life, but it's a funnier name, Hamburger Jones. Excuse me, it's Hamburger Jones here, your boss. Now he's just the
how'd
kid.
You get your
from the
hey Hamburger Jones? How'd you get your call sign?
So glad you asked. Funny story.
Do you think that? All right, options, guys, listeners, we need to chime in.
What do we think?
Do you think Hamburger Jones got? Do you think he packed on the pounds in his? He is 57 as of today.
Really? He's even older than I thought.
Throwing back a couple too many drinks. 2, hamburgers.
Ding, ding, ding.
3, genetic diabetes as a predisposition. 4,
maybe
born fat with big bones.
If he was born with big bones, he would never have taken this job on. So I'm going to eliminate that one right away. I would say it's a combination of
really scientist. You can't be born fat.
If you're a small cave anthropologist, I don't think you'd pick.
Joe, he's a distinguished Eagle Scout, dude.
People who can't swim don't become marine biologists. Let's put it that way. If your bones are too big to fit in a hole in a cave, you're not going to become a cave anthropologist. So I'm going to write that one off immediately. Numbers 1 and 3, because you didn't mention 2. 1, definitely throwing a few back. For sure. And 3, what was it? He has diabetes? Yeah, probably that too. You've probably eaten. I mean, you've spent 30 years looking for shit in a cave, and at some point, no one notices you, and you start chowing down. I don't blame the guy, you know.
It's like, guys,
he has to lose weight to do his
we
job.
just found some stuff. I got a real good idea. Let's go back to the fucking war room, and I'm gonna order some Subway. I'm gonna order some pizzas.
Tecate.
I'm gonna order some sushi. I'm gonna order kind of all of it. Just all of it. We're just gonna have it all. It's gonna be wicked fun.
It's gonna be fucking
Everyone's like, dude,
outrageous fun.
Hamburger Jones, bro.
Coopers. Hamburger Jones, like, he's gonna have the hot dogs of Christ ordered for the fucking party.
Sure
after
is,
it's
dude.
over.
Yeah, hot dogs of Christ. Well,
You guys ever heard of the patty of Christ? That's my dad.
you guys ever heard
on
Joey
Hamburger
Chestnut?
Jones.
Imagine him, but religious. It's me. Hamburger.
Him, but religious, and he cares about Australopithecus.
He sure does. So, all right, it's not funny anymore. Hamburger Jones.
You
Hamburger
can't do that when I
Jones.
take a sip. I almost spilled all over my fucking counter if I can laugh at him.
Hamburger Jones, the world-renowned
the bit's
Distinguished Eagle Scout and Medal of Honor recipient.
I can't believe you turned the thing into talking shit about that guy. And you still love the guy from Alaska who jerks off on the land with this his billionaire
Guess what they
money.
have, dude. Guess
You
what they
love
have in
that
common.
guy because
Take
he
a
smokes
wild
cigars and
guess.
shoots deers. But this guy who
Take
actually
a-
knows about the bones, you hate him because he's chubby.
Take
His
a
name's
wild
Hamburger
guess.
Jones.
Take a wild guess at what they have in common, dude.
They're both fat old white guys.
Yes.
Am I close? There we
You're
go.
right
Tim
on,
Newton.
dude.
Yeah.
His spouse's name is Jacqueline Berger too. That also goes.
Well,
flows.
and she's, what did you say? She's a biologist or what is she? She's a scientist?
No, she's a doctor.
radiologist.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a doctor.
An
Well, there you
MD.
go. What is the boner's wife's name? Subservient woman number 3 that he met in his life. Alaskan Eskimo woman who finally slept with him. He sounds like one of those guys who goes to the Philippines and gets it in. He's like, all right, all these American women, they talk too much.
Yeah, I'm gonna date somebody. I'm gonna marry someone who doesn't speak English and is
Yeah,
45
she's an Inuit.
years younger
We
than
call
me.
them an Inuit woman, and they know their place, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
Yep.
I shouldn't talk shit about the guy. I
fucking-
know his wife is white because he would never marry otherwise. That's why his kids are all white too.
Yeah,
Anyways,
but he's a.
Anyways, I'm glad these guys, both of them, are discovering this shit
Oh
because
my
I couldn't
God,
do
dude.
it. I
No,
couldn't
I'm
do it,
sorry,
so I'm
dude,
glad they're
but he
doing
was also Hamburger Jones was also named Georgia's Youth Conservationalist of the Year for his
There you
work
go.
in conserving the gopher tortoise.
it. Dude, you got.
It's just so funny.
I mean, the gopher tortoise. I mean, hell yeah, dude. I mean, we couldn't be more in disagreement about this. I love this nerd, and I think he's
he's great,
nerd
dude.
guy. That means as a child, he was already being like, I'm going to be science, like his whole life, and he did it, and he's doing it. And the other guy's like, I'm trying to make a buck in Alaska for fucking, I'm going to sell a tractor trailer for 10 times the price to make 10 times the profit. I'm like, I respect that. But
Yeah,
I
that
respect
is
more
him,
the
yeah.
kid trying to save the creatures of the earth. and
Gopher
discover our
tortoise
past.
specifically.
Yeah. And the other guy is literally
Well-
like, I hate scientists because they're fucking liars and they're not telling me what I want to hear. And I own a land the size of New England in my backyard. That's mine. And I will shoot people who go on my property. And the guy's like, I'm a nerd kid of the year for trying to save a species of animal. I'm like, that's the guy I want on my team, discovering shit. I don't want the guy who's fucking an Alaskan oil magnate fucking doing it. I want the guy who's saving the tortoise when he's 12 years old. He'll tell me the truth what was going on here. I want to hear about it.
You know what, dude? That's
This is
all
my
good.
guy.
I also like a dude who likes a good meal.
Me
All
too.
right, and a good fucking
Good burger
drink.
of Christ.
Okay, throws a few back with some boys, and obviously,
Couple of filet mignons of Christ, some blood of Christ on the table.
yeah, doesn't matter.
Vintage 19. This is sir. This is a vintage 1994 blood of Christ out of Carlo Rossi collection. Are you familiar?
The Carlo Rossi collection. Yeah, we have an aged car. It's like when Dom brought an aged fucking Cuddy
Seagrams.
Sark. Oh,
Yeah, no, he had Canadian
Cuddy
Club
Sark.
and Seagrams from
It's like, dude, this is a
1978.
1978 Seagrams. I was like,
Seagrams.
yes, sounds great, dude.
He's got
Vintage
eight-
Seagrams.
I have a
Those are good.
vintage barefoot wine from 1995. Ooh, oh, very nice. Please pour me a glass.
Dude, did
It's
you
worth
see the
$2
new American?
more than it was when it came out, and inflation makes it worth less money.
Dude, the newest American Dad, Roger, was like, he picked up a bottle of wine off a crime site, and he was like, 2020, good year. Not sure how the wine was, though. It's the the same thing. 1978 for Cutty Sark, our Seagrams. Yeah, it's gonna be good. I can tell.
So I got to get into the reasons why these bones were even down here because I thought it was pretty interesting.
I know, but I had something funny to say.
Okay, yeah, sorry, go ahead. I thought we were at the end of this so we could kind of rally back to something.
I can't wrap it up this quick, dude.
Well, if you remember it, please interrupt me and let me know. So I thought it was interesting, like, how the fuck these bones even end up here? Because obviously these guys are, like, spending their life trying to get down in these caves and figure this shit out. And yeah, you know, geologically shit changes, but not that fast. I mean, from the time that this other species, it's an animal, but we're animals too. I don't want to be demeaning by this animal that did this. But when this animal died, the geological makeup hasn't changed that much. This cave has been here since that happened. And the majority of the rocks that are around the area are called dolomites, which is the mountain chain in Italy is named after. And these dolomite rocks... Yeah, dolomite, yeah.
Sounds a lot super like hard rock from fucking the newest Zelda called Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah. The Dolomite Kingdom of the Gorons. The Gorons would love to eat some good.
Wait, am I fucking right, dude? I knew I was onto that.
No, I was just playing along with your thing.
That sounds. I was like Dolomite Kingdom of the Gorons. That's exactly where it would be.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that to make you to go along with it.
Thank
but
you.
No, you're
I
completely
appreciate
wrong.
the validation.
Oh no, you know what? You know why you are right? Zoanites.
Yes, it's the little thing you pick up that's black
Yep.
and shiny. Yeah, I gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yep. It's the whole. Well, it's the entire. It's all the robots are all Zoanite robots. But anyways, that's not important. But yeah, play Tears of the Kingdom if you haven't played it yet. It's a great game. Fucking Zelda rules.
It's like a shit. Yeah.
Obviously. But these rocks are nearly 3 billion years old. The Earth is only 4.3 billion years old, which means these rocks have been around almost as long as the planet Earth. So well before life.
What rock
formed.
isn't 4 billion years old?
A ton of them. There's a ton of rocks.
Fucking
like,
all that old.
Igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, a lot of limestone. It's old, but it's not as old as planet Earth. A lot of rocks formed, 1 billion years ago, a couple 500 million. I mean, obviously they're all old.
But every fucking rock that you see in fucking goddamn Rhode Island is old as fuck. Like, you pick up a rock right now in your yard, and it's fucking...
It's super old. It's true. It's true. It's not as old as the planet Earth, I mean, but it is pretty old. I'm just saying these ones are particularly
old. It's old as fuck. Yeah,
and they're particularly hard because, you could have limestone, which might be, 1.5 billion years old, but over the course of a million years, all the erosion will wipe it away and all the weather and it'll go away. These dolomites are pretty strong. So basically, that's the reason why this cave is still so set up well. So here's the ideas of why these bones are in here. They have 3 examples of why the bones are there. Number 1. They think that predators could have brought the bones in the cave, like a den-like situation. Animals like cats and even porcupines will bring, they'll bring their food or their kill into dens, and they'll leave them in there. And these dens could have been their caves at the time, and that's why the bones are there. Number 1 example, because the bones didn't just magically appear in there. Number 2 example is the idea called the death trap, which I think is a cool idea, which is that these animals could have been exploring a point of the cave, which Lee Berger said it happens a lot in cave exploring, where there's parts of the cave that it's not built for you to go down. So there could be like 100-foot drops that if you're not careful, you just stumble upon. And this species could have just walked into this area of the cave trying to crawl through and explore, and then whoops, you drop down, and either you die on impact, hopefully, or you break enough bones where you'll never get out again, and you slowly die in a deep, dark cave, which is my ultimate nightmare. That could have happened too. Yeah. And there are examples of caves like this all over Africa where there's just piles and piles of bones, and they do believe because it was a death trap. So if you come upon this, there's only one way out, and it's dead. So that's why there's piles of bones there. Much like the tar pits that are in Brea in California, where it's just that most of the animals that went in never went out. Also like the bone fields in Alaska. They think that there probably was some kind of... place you couldn't get out of, perhaps. And the 3rd example also applies to bone fields, which is that it's catastrophic runoff. So there could be flooding, massive flooding, and caves are downhill. So there's also a chance that these bones could get washed down the caves out over years and years of water flooding them in. I tend to think it's more of the death trap or the predator part of it, just because I think that the bones would probably be pretty deteriorated, and you have to have a lot of flooding to force a bone from a mile away into a deep cave. But all the water does run through there, and that's part of the reason why it's fossilized. most fossilization doesn't happen through dirt seeping in. It happens through water running through these bones, and the calcium gets replaced with other, sedentary rock and shit like that, and then you can see it again. So that's all I had to say about why they might be there. It's not bullshit. They're there for a reason, and that's why it's so crazy that we found them, or that Lee Berger found him and his team of skinnier people than him.
So you think all these people, probably my ancestors, were just fucking ravaged by giant cats and brought into the cave and died, and because they're eaten?
Well, they only
almost
found
like a
one.
Holocaust run by cats.
They only found one, I think, one skeleton somewhere. But no, I don't think it's the Holocaust. I think if 1,000 people live and die over 1,000 years, and one of them gets dragged in this cave, then the evidence is there for the one person. So that's enough for us to discover something about it. It doesn't say that everyone died that way, but all it takes is one body buried deep, deep, deep beneath the earth to let us know that someone existed. And I mean, also we didn't talk about the part that they had cave drawings, and it seems to be some type of ceremonial situation there, which I think is the most interesting part of it. Obviously, finding bones of ancient hominids is fascinating. It happens all the time, and it happened more frequently since the 1970s. But this is different than that. That's why we're talking about this. Is that they don't just think that the bones are there. They think that they were down there, and it wasn't a death trap, and they were actually drawing on the walls and doing all kinds of weird shit. I mean, maybe that's the case.
It could be
trying to date it to that time. But
you didn't bring up a fourth option. Maybe this is.
I'm just going off what Lee Berger told me. I'm open to interpretation, please.
Hamburger Jones wasn't thinking with his dipstick on this one, and he might have also ignored a fourth option.
What's that?
Is that this was a burial site, sacrificial, like not sacrificial, but ceremonial.
Well, I mean that's what they're implying. That's what they're implying, is that it was a.
Did I miss the whole point of everything you just said?
No, you didn't. I was just saying how they usually
checking.
find these bones. That's what I was saying. But I was saying in this particular site, they're saying this isn't like the shit like that. They're saying that this is unique in the fact that it has art of the site, and it seems to be a ceremonial burial. They didn't say sacrificial. Like it wasn't implied that they killed somebody there, but it was implied that it was like a site of reverence. Like much like when you see those old cave paintings of people like with the hands and the buffalo, they're saying this is like that for this species, perhaps, that existed well before any buffalo drawings in the cave paintings have ever been discovered.
Unless,
so,
since,
I mean, it's open for interpretation.
We share DNA with these people somewhat, and brain development. There's probably some mix over there. We don't, but it's probably some mix over a little bit.
It's probably true.
Because every now and then you meet a guy who's like talking about like what they want at their funeral, and they're like, dude, just put me in a fucking trash bag, in a dumpster.
Hell yeah.
Maybe this was a whole species of that mentality where they're like, once they're dead, just throw them in the fucking cave, hole. Dude. Just throw them in the fucking hole, like whatever.
It could be.
They might just be super lazy.
But then why do they draw these
I know.
Things?
Maybe because one of them wasn't dead yet, and he decided.
I didn't consider that. Like they threw him down the hole. He didn't die, and he started carving stuff to be like, "Remember me, whatever."
Realistically, he got thrown in the cave, started eating the other dead people to stay alive for a while, and then decided to have his own fucking puppet show on the wall. And that's what he did to pass time until he ate every other body in there that wasn't super gross. And no, like, dude, like, where does that fuck it mentality come from? Maybe this is the side of us that goes like, fuck it, dude, what's the point? Like,
what's the point?
Whatever, just throw them in the fucking hole. Like, we don't give a shit, because they're obviously not that smart yet. So they go, it's just a fucking bag of bones. Just toss it in the fucking hole.
But devil's advocate, if they threw them in the hole, as it were, which is what we think most species did, either threw them in a hole or just left them there, there'd be no evidence. The fact that this body is found deep in a cave with artwork around it suggests that there was a purposeful burial of this person, and they did it it was a difficult journey. It wasn't like the cave has gotten shorter since then. They're suggesting that this was a purposeful burial, which actually is going complete opposite of what you're saying, which is that they didn't say fuck it. They were one of the first species, even before humans.
Put some work in. Yeah.
Maybe the first species on the planet Earth to say, you know what? They're dead, but we're not just going to throw them away. We're going to actually do something about this. And obviously
Yeah,
humans
we're
are
no-
famous for doing shit about stuff, but all the other animals are not famous for that. Basically, every other animal is like either fuck it, 99.9999%, or 0.0001% goes, all right, let's all gather around, look at them, and then leave. But even chimpanzees don't bury their dead. They just go, oh, that's sad, walk away.
Oh,
So
shit.
this would be insane. I mean, even if they existed alongside humans, it would be crazy to think that they did the same thing as us, but they did it, hundreds of thousands of years before us. That's even crazier. The first ones to have a ritual burial, not a ritual sacrifice, but I think that's the crazy part about it, is that not only is the guy, dead, it seems to be that they intentionally put the body there in order to some degree of respect or reverence for death, which no animals show besides humans, or maybe this animal.
And turkeys, when they walk around the dead in a big circle like witches.
Yeah, but even so, I said like the elephants do
besides
it. Besides
turkeys,
turkeys, but they don't
right.
bury their dead. They just kind of go like, oh my god, the guy is dead, and then they walk away. They don't bury them. They don't have a ritual. They don't leave markings that show, hey, there's someone here or whatever. They don't do any of that stuff. Yeah. And they also don't understand that they're dead. I mean, animals don't really comprehend the fact that they're gonna die. They just think that, oh, this person's dead, and that's sad, I don't think elephants, when they have their funerals, they don't go, well, that'll be me someday.
I'm next. Yeah.
I'm next. Yeah. They just, as far as they know, sometimes the animals die, but
I bet elephants do and dolphins do, but it depends on the chain of command of brain.
I will push back against that stuff. I don't think that any animal knows they're going to die besides humans, and that's why our lives are so tortured and wonderful. I don't think any animal knows it will die. I think animals know that animals die, for sure. But I don't think animals can comprehend the fact outside of themselves that will one day be them, too. It's like asking a kid, like, what happens? They're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to die one day. One day I'll die, too. Like, they don't know that. You have to tell them and be like, you understand, like, everyone dies and we're all going to die. I don't think your consciousness, even as a human, which is more intelligent than a dolphin, even we can't understand internally that we're going to die. We have to, like, learn that through conversations and living our lives and, it's the curse of being a human. You know you're gonna die, which makes you either live a beautiful life or dread it every day, and that's like the curse of being a human. It's just what we are. I think that's the actual thing from the Bible that we're trying to talk about. By the way, the Adam and Eve thing. It's not that they ate an apple and God said that's a no apple. Don't eat that apple. It's they ate a fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I think that they ate that fruit and they realized, oh yeah, you're gonna die. You're human. Isn't that fucked up? All these animals have no idea, but now you know you're gonna die. Could be today. Could be next week. And then you go, oh fuck it, I should do some crazy shit. Maybe I'll fuck Eve. They go, oh no, don't do that. Oh no, I know I'm gonna die. I'm fucking crazy about it. That's the torture of being a human. I really do believe it. That the humans, we know we're gonna die. It's a crazy concept. It's not
crazy
fair.
Concept.
I wish I didn't know that.
The stoned ape theory with mushrooms. They didn't know that until they started doing psychedelics.
They expanded their mind and they thought of the world beyond.
What am I? Why am I here? Is the first thing that would do that is drugs.
Why am I here? How long am I going to be here? Like what is this?
What's my purpose? What's the
purpose? Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'm speculating on this animal, whatever it is, but maybe they were the first species on Earth to ever realize that they are going to die one day, and they beat humans to the punch. As far as because the whole idea of respecting the dead is the fact that they're dead, and you want them to be alive still, and they're passing on to a greater place, and then one day, we come from dust, and dust we shall, become one day once again, kind of thing. And to dust we shall return. So it's a very human concept, and I think it's crazy to think that a species way before us could have figured that out, because we think we're the hot shits in that town.
These hot shits were thinking that, like, how many hundred thousand years ago was this?
I think he was saying it was around 300,000 years ago.
So they're clearly thinking
the first
that.
They know what's
up.
Are like 150,000 years ago, and even those, they never built a town. They just maybe understood that they might die one day.
Right, and then the craziest thing that I think about is that our folks, showed up 40,000 years ago, and there is nothing at all different about their brains. So you have me and you,
they're
Joe,
exactly the same.
fucking
genetically,
clowning
they're
around.
identical. Yeah.
identical thought consciousness level.
Your
is what these
DNA
fucking
is the same as those people.
40,000 years ago. It's the same fucking people.
Oh yeah,
Fucking crazy.
It's the
One
same.
time.
So if
Different
they were born
resources,
right now,
tools.
if you could take that embryo and put it in a woman right now, they would be just like us, even though they're from 40,000 years ago. That blows my mind. It's like so much has happened. And most of everything that's happened we know about, it's only 5,000 years old. Like no one goes before the pyramids of Giza. Like that's when, you know, humanity really started. We started building shit. That's that. No, this is multiply that times 8. That DNA is exactly the same as ours now. Fucking wild.
Same shit. Wild
Same
shit.
shit.
Wild. Totally wild. All right, so we think of a commercial break, and then we'll figure out where
I
to
think
go.
we'll do one more commercial break, then we'll do final thoughts and send this chicken back down into the caves whence it came.
That's it, and then next week you guys will probably have fucking Dominic to talk about maybe dicks. We'll see. Hey, stay posted, all right, guys?
If you're lucky, if you're
lucky.
eat all your vegetables and you be very nice, you might get that. I'm the Romans, and I'm marching on wanting to get Hannibal for what he's done to our people over the years. They go, hey, we're here for Hannibal. We want his head. Where is he?
Already dead. He already died. Like this suit.
God! No! God, please, no!
Yeah.
No!
Yeah.
No!
As soon as you guys got here. That was.
Countdown, we're good?
Dylan and Joe. It's a podcast.
Dylan Joe, it's podcast. We're back. We're back only, well, not only, but we're back because of not just the Boy Scouts, and not just anything else like that, but we're back because of the leadership of a rising star in the scientific community, because of the excavation of the Homo naledi at Rising Star Cave in the towering bird of prey hypothesis. And
Is that what it's called,
here
Rising
today.
Star Cave?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we're back because of Hot Dog Jones. And
Hot dog man himself, the hot dogs of Christ, Jones.
well, he's all right. Sorry, I got his name wrong. It's Hamburger Jones.
Lee
And
Hamburger.
Lee Hamburger, also sometimes known as Lee Rogers Burger, age 57, from Shawnee Mission, Kansas. And
Shawnee Mission sounds like an old fucking Christian cult.
it sure does. I'm sure he's
Shawnee Mission,
fought-
also known as when 20 white guys with guns showed up and said, "Okay, all you brownies, start believing in Christ, or boomsticks are going off." That's our
exactly what it
legacy
was.
here.
Yeah.
Bleeding Kansas, they used to call it, during the time.
Yeah. Also, American-born South African paleoanthropologist.
Mm-hmm.
And in his most famous discovery of the Australopithecus sediva
Australopithecus.
site, Malapa, in Africa. So, he found the hypothesis here is that thesis, actually, if I were to go on the other side of the spectrum, is that he found a site of previously unknown species of sort of human people, and who were part of our makeup at one point, probably, and
Might be our ancestors to some degree.
might be our ancestors, and they're completely wiped away from history in all forms and everything like that. And
Except
it
for
could
the
be
fact
because
that they are still here. They're not completely wiped out. They're all dead, granted, but their evidence is still here. We don't even have this podcast happening. They're not completely wiped out because some semblance of them, deep beneath the Rising Star Cave, still exists. Their form of art and their form of burial, perhaps. But let's not belabor the point any further. I think that we should track this case, as we do with the UFOs or Bigfoot or anything. We're a podcast. We're not a movie, so we're always actively researching, looking shit up, getting interested, whatever we're gonna do.
Constantly, actually.
Constantly, at all times, in all places. We're always
Nonstop.
sending each other videos or whatever. I mean, usually Dylan's aren't that pertaining to the podcast, but these are pretty funny.
But Hamburger Jones sometimes he might write in and say, "I got some new stuff for you guys. Come
I
meet
think
me
that
in
he
Pawnee,
will.
Kansas, and we'll talk in the war room."
Yeah, Pawnee.
You know?
No, I think that definitely. If you folks, that's why we have an episode in the bank, but I think I have to release this episode first because you're about to hear about it from us, and then you're gonna watch it on Netflix, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's the Netflix guy, the fucking ape thing." So we're gonna get this shit out beforehand. Just know we called it, as we do many things in this podcast. We called it, and don't give us credit for it, but just maybe mention to a friend. And you go, "Oh yeah, I heard about the Lee Hamburger guy, but I heard about it from the Dylan Joe Basement podcast." We like that.
Exactly. That's how it goes.
Like that.
So
we like you like that. So, but also he's gonna get a big head. His head is already big as it is. So you better believe when the Netflix things come out, he's gonna be full Indiana Jones gear. He's gonna be like, I'm an explorer. I'm an Australopithecus. I'm a fucking hominid. He's gonna start going off. So he's gonna get a really big head. But I think he deserves it after a whole career of doing this shit. And all scientists should see
finally
their day in the
finding
sun.
something besides getting Eagle Scout Award for saving
Exactly.
a bird.
He's finally had his moment. He can be like Carl Sagan or like Neil deGrasse Tyson or Bill Nye and be a famous scientist for a month. He's the Joe Exotic of finding bones in a cave, and I think he deserves at least that, and maybe only that. We'll see. Because he does seem very douchey, as Dylan did mention. He does seem very douchey, but I respect him as of right now. We'll see how it turns out. But anyways, I think that I don't have a lot more to say about it without launching into another 45 minutes on early human species that I would love to get into. But I think that'll run its course in due time. I think we've basically stated what we can about this particular topic, and I think it's time for Joe's favorite segment. What's that called? I always forget the name.
Joe always forgets this every time, almost 100 episodes.
What's it called again?
It's called Hamburger Thoughts?
Hamburger Thought.
There we go. Yep, that's it. It's the one. All right, guys, time for
Would you like to
Joe's
go
final
first?
segment. Final thoughts. You sound pretty enthusiastic, but I'll take the step forward, leap of faith, as Joe Hamburger would call it.
Thanks,
And,
buddy. I'll watch you fall, and then hopefully I'll dive after you.
Thank you. Is that Hamburger Jones is a great dude. He made some big leaps, and sometimes they say like a bird in the hand is two in the bush, or a
Right.
bird in the bush is two in the hand. And sometimes
If you
it's
can get your hand in the bush, how many birds is that worth?
it's worth about taking one douche to get a mile. And Hamburger Jones is that for us right now on potentially a newest thing. My thoughts on this, because I haven't expressed even a single opinion, just facts until now,
Please.
is that I always say the history that we don't know is the only unknown in the world. History is written by the victors. Who knows? This could have been a thing we knew, but when the Library of Alexandria burned down,
Holy shit.
they might have just completely erased this because it's against Christ.
You
Just
think
like,
they went... you think that... First
You
of
know?
all, Alexander the Great existed before Christ, but I see what you mean.
No, when the Library of Alexandria
The
burned
library,
down
yeah,
in Alexandria, that was full of all of human knowledge, including how the pyramids were built, how
Including
aliens
the early species.
smell, and
I'm sure
early
they
human
dove
species.
down that cave and did carbon dating and all kinds of radiology. to
No,
figure
they
out
might
the
have still
dates.
been around, and they just burnt them, and they're all gone.
Wow.
But these could have been superhumans, could have been anything, and
Super
they could have
mutants,
still been
even.
living for a while. Then they just they got rid of them all. But there's a lot more to the human story, and the human story that we all know of starts with the Nakalipizzaci Australopithecus in 10 million years ago, and then the Organopithecus 9 million years ago, and then the Creopithecus, and then the Salin. This is every 1 million years, and then the Orinan.
Sahelanthropus is the one that.
Yeah. This is the earliest bipedal, just so you know. And then the Oroin, which is 6 million years ago, and the Hominini, and then the Ardipithecus.
This is what I wanted to talk about for like a half an hour. You're going to do it during
and then
your final
the
thoughts.
Australopithecus, H. habilis, whatever fucking now, 0, which is
Homo
0
habilis.
zero,
All the H's are
zero, 0 million years ago, it was Homo sapiens. So
0
before
million
that,
years ago,
there's
so
a
it's like
bunch of
yesterday.
shit. But the whole point is that most of human history that we know of from 0 to 10 million years ago, everything that we know is in the 0 still. We don't know shit about dick before that, really. And we have another one that's like, holy shit. This could explain a lot about, Joe's hair color, about the pyramids, about just some other shit that we can't even fucking think about. And then they were wiped out and then erased from history if they were in history, which they probably weren't. Let's just be real. But it's crazy shit,
For sure.
On to you, Joe. Your favorite part of the podcast. Let's go. Let's see what you think.
That was well said. I appreciate you reading off all those names because I pulled up the whole timeline chart and I wanted to, absolutely jerk it to all the different species that existed, which fascinates the hell out of me. I mean, dinosaurs are cool as fuck, but the idea that there was like 20 species that basically acted like hyper advanced, smart chimpanzees. Like chimpanzees are like our version of humans. Like they're fascinating. It's like holy shit. They're smart. They have families. They have hands. They have feelings. Like they are the dumbest by far of everything Dylan just said. All these species he just said were like bipedal, which doesn't make you smarter, but they had all these. They used tools. They had tribes. They didn't have language, a lot of them, but now we find out one had art. I mean, it's fucking wild to me that all these proto-human species all existed there. I mean, we all came from somewhere. I mean, if the apes looked back, they could see, monkeys, lemurs, whatever. I think this shit is like top of my line when it comes to aliens, right up there. The cosmos, the nature of reality, right up there, and then right there with me, which sometimes ropes in.
Rapes in. Sometimes it rapes in. That's how much Joe cares about this. It's like really.
I will rape in this concept if I have to. I will force the move here. Jesus Christ. It ropes in even things like Bigfoot or like the skunk ape, where it's like, yeah, there was species of animals that were well before us. And they were before chimpanzees. Don't forget, chimpanzees haven't been around this whole time. Chimpanzees are younger than the species Australopithecus or like the one in the cave. They're younger than that. Chimpanzees are newer. You always feel like it's Pokemon. You evolve, like you get smarter or get stronger. No. It's just how many times can you fuck and have kids and not die. That's the game. It's not how smart can you get. Mosquitoes have existed for millions. Mosquitoes existed when dinosaurs existed. They're still here. Like they're fine. It's just how many times can you keep having kids and keep existing and surviving. And you don't have to be the smartest to do that. Humans just chose that as their path. But I think it's fascinating that we potentially have found a species, yet unnamed. Well, hopefully Hamburger will tell us about what species it is, but that might have been even before humans, that has created some version of art and some version of a ceremonial burial, which is the two indicators of culture that they use. And historians, anthropologists, biologists, they always use that. If you can make some version of art, whether it's cave paintings, and if you can bury your dead by not kicking them in a ditch and just kind of have some kind of ceremony or some kind of like site that they're buried in, it is.
When I meet someone new, this is the bare minimum I look for.
Yeah, if you got those two things, okay, you're a person.
Can you make art and can you bury your dead?
Yeah,
maybe we should talk.
If you can do that, maybe we'll be friends. We'll see, but. This is ongoing, so my final thoughts will be to be continued when we find out more about it. But as of right now, I'm very excited about this. And the more you learn about other species that are like us, I think it's better for us. I think the idea that we're completely unique in the world is selfish and stupid and fanatical and fundamentalist. But we're not unique. We're just the ones in power right now. And Dylan said, history is written by the victors, and there's no bigger victors than humanity on planet Earth. So let's not write all the history. Let's see what else other people have to say. Even if you have to dive a mile down and find their bones and their scratchings on the wall, I still want to know what other history could be written if it wasn't just for us. So I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah, and who knows what presidential candidate we have coming up next that is more of this than not.
Australopithecus 2024. You hear it here first.
Yeah.
We're going for
so
the
just think of that.
prehistoric monkey man. He's going to be the president.
Yeah. Yeah, we call it the
Or
first.
woman. I don't want to be subversive.
Yeah, but
Anyway,
they run,
that's all I gotta say.
But the women run like 10% slower, so how is that
Yeah,
going to
1.5 miles slower. Yeah, that's not.
How is that going to be a president, dude? That doesn't make any sense.
That's got to be on average, though. I mean, Usain Bolt ran 23 miles an hour. They think that's probably. There's got to be some early man who could have run at least 20 miles an hour, just really getting after it. I mean, we're going to work at CVS. Those guys were chasing down antelopes. I mean, I imagine that early humans could run at least 23 miles an hour, Usain Bolt style. Maybe 20 because he has drugs and doctors and stuff. But I always say that early humans could at least run, let's say 15, maybe 20. I wouldn't say 8. 8 must be average.
Kind of like Lance Armstrong. He's been replacing his blood with
blood doping. Yeah. Unfortunately, our ancestors didn't have that ability. They didn't even know what blood was. They just know you need it inside you.
You just know you need to drink it. Yeah. So, that's it, guys. That's the Dylan Joe Basin podcast on Hamburger Jones. And we will see you guys next week. Dom, our third.
No go.
We will see you guys next week. Dom, our third member of the DJBP, should be here, and we got probably a pretty fucking funny one for you guys about some real famous people in history who didn't rape their way to victory, unlike Joe. Joe's thoughts. They
slip up. I didn't. I always consent my way to victory. Let that be known on the internet.
These guys fought their way through. This is gonna be real good. See you guys then.
You saw the whip in the hat, right?
Explorer. Yeah, exactly. Have you guys
They call me
seen
South
Indiana
African
Jones? It's me.
Yeah, they call me Johannesburg Jones. No, Indiana Johannesburg. It's funnier.
No, Hamburger Jones.
They call me Johannesburger Jones.
Wait a minute, though. It does say he's a distinguished Eagle Scout and received the Boy Scouts
Well, how do you think he was so good at walking
American
in the woods?
Honor Medal for saving a life in 1987. So just saying, he's a douchebag.
Wait a minute, what?
And then how else
they
are you
teach
going
you
to
in
have...
Boy Scouts how to tie knots so that after you get PTSD and the military, you can tie a noose and kill yourself. Trust me, you guys are going to want to know this later in life when you realize the horrors of war.
In about 15 years. Yeah, when an airplane crashes, who's there first? We try to be. And
The
then
coyotes.
we also... then we get Besides the coyotes.
Then the
The
flies.
Civil Air Patrol is there first. And
The
it's a bunch of
maggots arrive.
14-year-old boys on a ham radio and a radio in the air talking to the Air Force saying, we
Breaker
can't
19,
find...
I'm 9. At some point, you age out. You gotta,
You know what they say, dude? If you can't lift them, drop them. Sorry. You can't lift them,
Those
dump
who
'em.
can't do, teach.
If you can't lift them, dump them. That's how it goes.
Numbers 1 and 3, because you didn't mention 2. 1, definitely throwing a few
Throws
back.
it
For sure. And 3, what was it? He has diabetes? Yeah, probably that's it. He probably eaten.
All right, it's not funny anymore. Hamburger Jones.
Okay, all you brownies, start believing in Christ or boomsticks are going off.